Hi everyone, I'm glad to have this opportunity to show you my process book. Today's speech will focus on learning from September to December, focusing on the theme learning results, method, and reflections, and including some personal impressions. The book is a comprehensive record of my design iteration and execution strategies, starting with an initial concept exploration and going through many attempts to settle on a direction to start producing some outputs. The table of contents as shown here begins with an introduction, from which process is made to the content of each week, then to the research and design process of the archive, and finally to critical reflections. As a graphic design student, this major has always brought me a lot of energy and broadened my scope of knowledge. Therefore, after my undergraduate study, I quickly decided to become a graduate student in graphic design. At present, I also have some work experience in illustration of font design, but I think the knowledge I learned in the undergraduate study is not enough to support the range of skills I can involve in the future work. So I have decided to try more different professional fields and learn more knowledge about getting out of the comfort zone, which is the primary goal of my study in this year. During the welcome week, we were assigned the task of making pancakes, which tended to imitate the communication between designers and clients in the industry. This client project required alternative communication experiments to reach an agreement between designer and client. We didn't want to waste this opportunity, but we had never tried to make pancake before, but I still believe it was a fun experience. In addition, the teacher provided many design cases, among which I was very interested in the designer's use of images, so I did some reading. The designer used strong critical language on the visual structure of the detector stage. In the first week of study, in the process of understanding the 6 thinking heads, we discussed our choice of heads and thought about how to solve problems or different thinking modes. After grouping discussion, I chose red and green as the two key elements in the design process of me. And in this beneficial discussion, we got to know each other and improved the relationship between classmates. Finally, a total of 15 keywords are summarized. These keywords are part of design for me, and I have learned that critical design is not just a simple objection to design, but requires us to examine the deep meaning and potential impact of design and questions the motivation and purpose behind design, so that design can be intertwined with society and culture. And I read this book about language and learned various overviews about the design field. In the second week, we tried the LATCH method and summarized different forms of information organization. I mainly illustrated the information visualization website Information is Beautiful and learned a lot about the trend of data processing. We classified snacks according to location, later time, category, and level, and learned how to improve the efficiency of information retrieval and annotation value. In week 3, we learned about the properties of the word archive. I chose the website Little Token from the online archive website provided by the professor and made an understanding of its data analysis. In this site, the archive seems to preserve temperature and emotion. In the first week of study, I visited the National Theatre Archive and I learned about the archives of a play, from illustration, costume design, fabric use, actor information, and these things together from a complete record. And the National Theatre Archive has a lot of material of people to visit and study, which is a great format. This section is for our homework, information about the archive we visit. After the visit, I learned the advantages and disadvantages of the archives. Among them, the limitation of data storage on online websites is a key issue. So I also carried out relevant research in the follow-up investigation. This week, we need to study through visual dialogue. We use a lot of materials to college and let the students know about the archives we visit in the exchange session. I did the extended research on archive in the wrong direction due to a misunderstanding. Although it could not be dropped, I still have some interested in these directions. This is about the relationship between the body and the symbols. In the thinking, I collected birthmarks, scars, and tattoos on some of my friends to symbolize the profound meaning of the human body as a small archive. In week 8, we investigated the difference between magazines and design books. I found a book I was interested in. That's called Thank You, and conduct research. After that, we cut a lot of print materials for college. For me, have been in contact with computer software for a long time. Making books by hand allows me to return to the original design process, which is another meaningful attempt. The most important thing I learned about this part of the reflection is that the process is more important than the results. An archive is not just a tool of preservation and a means of communication media. It is also a verb. This week of study have also depended my understanding of the definition of archives. After visiting the offline archive and the online site, I asked a few questions and following the questions further down the line. During this period, I found several artists' work about the relationship between memory and archive. And after the investigation, I paid attention to the connection between flat data archives and real objects. There may be wrong understanding of archives from different perspectives. Then I began to investigate the relationship between 2D and 3D and investigate the difference between them. I got some keywords, the reconstruction of a reality, the dissolution of emotion in history. Then I start my first experiment, a paper module. I hope to explore the relationship between emotion and the space through this module. Then I found some artists from reference and got some ideas through the 3D cut fabric and test destruction. In the second attempt, I used the composition test of one of the drama contests in the National Archive. Cut the paper and collage it to get a module, but this is not very destroyable. There are some logical errors, so I started to try other methods. After searching of materials and understanding the importance of context replacement, I found a designer who met my needs, Kayahara. I began to understand his design thinking and methodology. The relationship between people and things is not stable. The context replacement and the relationship between people and things is the best expression of unconscious design. I decided to start the archives from the people themselves. I interviewed friends around me about their memories and presented the completed paragraphs through the interactivity of folding paper, reflecting a new attempt of interactivity and materials. Through translation sculpted paper, I made the folding action to reveal important text and images. I hope that if I can improve this project in the future, it will be a participatory and meaningful archive. In all my research, I have come to conclusion that archives are complete memorized with temperature. Therefore, it is originally generated around human society. This ambiguity quality and ancestry of memory are recorded from the archives, but at the same time, different materials can also link people to their own feelings, so as to make ideas more real. This is the final presentation. In the final reflection stage, I made a certain summary of the learning during the period. I was also very happy to learn a lot of different thinking methods and have a more complete understanding of the defect in my design. I hope that in the near future I can synthesize more knowledge in different fields and enrich my works. This is my complete introduction to process book.